and the learners of the Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental and Occupational Health. Welcome to this session, and today we will discuss on noise pollution and monitoring. So we are all aware of the amount of pollution that is going on in the surrounding, especially the noise pollution. This is aggravating. Now if you go to the urban areas, you will see that there is a lot of traffic noise, industrial noise, and even domestic sources also, because we are dependent on the technological innovations and the gadgets that we are operating right from the morning. If you see, we start our morning with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. So sometimes we do make this in the conventional method, which requires boiling or heating, but there are also the coffee machines and the tea machines which are available, and all this sometimes creates some kind of small noise. The same way we have dishwashers, we have the washing machines. These all are sources of the indoor pollution or the indoor noise pollution. The same way the mixies. So maybe some of the technological advancements that have been made, including in the countries abroad, in international inventions, we see that they are using some kind of noise mufflers and acoustic methods whereby the noise could be reduced to a considerable extent. Even the pressure cookers, the pressure cookers that we use in our country, they give you a lot of sound. But if you go elsewhere, maybe in the European countries, even 20 years back, they had those pressure cookers which works on the levels. So you have to stand there and monitor at which level it is going and where it is getting cooked, and that does not give you any kind of sound. So these are all some solutions for preventing and for controlling the amount of noise that is coming in the indoor setup. The same way we also have the outdoor activities. So in this session, we will define what is noise, what is sound, what are the basic sources of the noise pollution both in the indoor aspect as well as the outdoor aspects. We will also see as to how the noise is affecting the human health. We will also see the monitoring and the control strategies, mainly the instruments that are used for the noise pollution and monitoring. Therefore, health and development, this is intimately linked with the state of the surrounding environment. Pollution and degradation of the environment, this has tremendous negative effect on the health of the human beings. Presently, if you see, the pollution is aggravated by a number of the human induced activities, or we can also say that these are anthropogenic sources. So it is high time that we all act together, think together, work as a team and manage this noise pollution effectively. All activities, as I said, whether this could be domestic, they could be commercial or from the industrial, they produce enough noise, and this can be detrimental to human health. High levels of noise, this has affected the quality of hearing and deafness. And if you see now, many of the children and many of the youngsters, the teenagers at a very young age, they are developing the ear problem. Another problem is listening to loud music, and online activities where you get these ear buds. So when these ear buds, we keep them in the ear, you listen for a long period of time, and you keep them at a very high volume, then evidently this is sure that it is going to create some kind of disturbance to your ear. It will start secreting more of the ear wax or liquid, and finally you will have the ear problems and pain. So therefore it is realized that mostly it is not the pollution that causes the problem, but the unscientific management which is leading to serious environmental issues. Hence, we should understand the problems and the preventive measures that we can take in order to protect ourselves from the same. The word noise, how do we define noise? So this comes from the Latin word meaning nausea, nauseating. Sometimes you feel like you feel that you want to vomit, but you don't. So it is nausea. So noise is coming from that word nausea, and noise is any undesirable or unpleasant sound that causes discomfort to the ear, and it results in consequent health hazards. Because we cannot categorize all noise as or all sound as noise. There is a difference between noise and sound, which we will see in the subsequent slides. So sometimes Carnatic music or classical music, this is very pleasant to hear, okay, or some kind of the chirping of the birds, the sound of the waterfalls. These are all very nice to hear, and they are all melodious too. So the nightingales song. So these are all melodious and you like to listen to such kind of music. So this is unpolluting, which is natural and which exists in nature. So noise pollution is more prevalent in the cities when compared to the suburbs and the villages. In the cities, if you see the main reason behind noise, it is due to the increasing population and the lifestyle impacts. More people in a city, that means we have more public transportation, we have more industries, more institutions, more factories and so on. Sound and noise. Now let us see the comparison between these two. Noise can be defined in simple terms as unwanted sound. Sound, this can be defined as a compression wave form and this travels through matter. It does not travel through vacuum and it also travels in water, steel and also air. This is mainly characterized by the amplitude, the frequency, the velocity and the wavelength. Noise. This is also produced by the fluctuations in air pressure. This includes the sound and the vibration. The patterns of sound waves, for example, for the human voice, these are a mixture of both irregular and regular sound pulses. So right now I am speaking, I am giving or delivering a lecture. You can see that my voice is modulating. Sometimes it can go high, it can go low, it can be shrill and so on. So the human voice itself, it is a mixture of both irregular and regular sound pulses. Sound becomes a noise due to the unbearable pitch and the lack of control over it. Right, so now we have defined and differentiated between sound and noise. So noise is something that we are not able to bear and it is not desirable. We don't like to hear such kind of a sound or the noise. The characteristics of unpleasant sound, this depends on the frequency, the intensity of the sound waves, time, the exposure to it and intermittence of the sound waves. Noise is normally characterized by the loudness and this is measured by decibel. It is given in the unit dB and pitch or the frequency which is measured in hertz Hz. It is denoted by Hz. So 1 hertz is equal to 1 vibration per second. Noise can be of two types. It can be of the high frequency noise or you can also have the low frequency noise. So normally an adult can hear between the frequencies 16 to 20,000 hertz. Now when we talk about the range of the vibrations below 16 hertz, these are infra-audible and those above 20,000 hertz are ultrasonic vibrations or the frequencies. The frequencies between 2000 hertz and 8000 hertz, these are most annoying and those below 500 hertz, these are normally less annoying. The World Health Organization, they have fixed the safe level for noise in the cities as 45 decibels. The differentiation between sound and the noise, this also depends upon the habit, the interest of the receiver, the ambient conditions and the impact of the sound which is generated during that particular duration of time. Many animals, they can hear the sounds which are inaudible to the human ear. For example, dolphins and bats, they can hear the frequencies up to 1 lakh hertz. Okay, so you can see at what kind of a frequency they are able to hear. Now in the same way, bats, okay, these are the mammals and you find them hanging upside down, especially in the cave and the subterranean habitats. They have evolved very sensitive hearing to adapt to their nocturnal activity because they are normally they don't come out in the bright light. So they are active during the night time, so they are nocturnal animals. Elephants, they can hear the sounds between 14 to 16 hertz, while some of the whales can hear infrasonic sounds as low as 7 hertz in water. Noise, they may also be natural, as I said, they could be the rustling of the leaves, the chirping of the birds, lightning, wind and the thunder. You know, lightning and thunder also gives you some kind of a noise, so we also get frightened and scared at that time. In the same way, the movement of water in the oceans, the rivers, the streams, all this, you know, they can also be of noise. And man-made noise generally, that tends to be annoying. Now let me tell you, sometimes, you know, when you listen to a music or even it could be even a ghazal, when you listen to at the normal tone which is most conducive for all of us, that way you enjoy the same. But when that itself you keep it at a very loud volume, at a high pitch, then that becomes quite annoying. And again, the time is important. If you listen for 5 minutes, it may be, okay. But for example, when you go for parties, when you go for weddings, when it is too loud, then it becomes unmanageable for your ear to tolerate that noise, and then you start having health hazards like you have dizziness, you have headache, then you can also have vertigo in some cases. The age also is a factor. Maybe young children would be less affected, but elderly, those who are above 50s, they get more affected, and there are a lot of health issues in the process. Now, many of us are exposed to the high levels of noise every day, and it directly affects our health. So most of us are traveling 10 kilometers, 13 kilometers by the metro, by the road transport to our offices every day, and even your local trains. So in that case, the sound of the trains, the amount of sound that is even created at the railway stations, all this can be really very high, and that can again affect your human health. So when there is constant noise, this is actually affecting your activity. It can affect a person both physically as well as mentally. So you are less alert. When for example you go into some kind of a meditation class or a yoga class, you basically meditate and there is soft music, or that is absolute silence in that room or in that lawn or in that natural habitat wherever you are placed or where you are seated. Definitely, if you see, when you compare that and when you compare in the peak time, in the office time, if you stand in the center of the road, especially Delhi I am speaking, you can actually compare yourself to your health, how much mentally active and physically active you can be all through the day. So this definitely has a positive effect on yourself. So one tip is normally your workplace and your homes should always be close to each other. It should be so that you can avoid the travel time and you can also avoid the noise pollution, which will have long lasting effects on the health. Noise pollution, as I said earlier, we can classify this into the indoor as well as the outdoor sources. Sources of some of the noise pollution from the indoor sources. This could be from your radio, from your television, from the generators, from your lawn mowers that you use in the gardens. There could be electric pump. Okay, it could be from the borewell or for pumping your water from your ground level to your top tanks where you are going to fill it. Then the same way from your electric fan, from your air coolers, from compressors, from air conditioners, all this can give you a good amount of sound. In the same way, outdoor sources, industrial activities, automobiles, you can even hear sirens as early as 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. And these sirens you can, you can listen for a very long range of kilometers, even 2 or 3, 4 kilometers and so on. So they are really loud. Again, you have automobile traffic, you have air traffic, rail traffic, you have the aeroplanes, the farm machines, pump sets and so on. All these are sources of noise pollution. So what are the effects on the human health? We could have stress, we could have headache, we could have high blood pressure, there could be sleeplessness, restlessness, there could be ringing in the ears, you could have ear pain. Digestive and immune system disorders. Have you ever wondered whenever you have a headache, whenever you feel not very good, the entire system gets upset in the process. Digestive, your more of the gastrointestinal acids, they get secreted. So thereby again you get affected. Then presbycusis, which is referred to as a loss of hearing. Gradually, this normally occurs with age. But nowadays, with the research that is going on at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences and many of the hospitals all over India, they are now reporting that presbycusis is occurring even at a very early age, even among the teenagers. So we need to see, what could be the reason behind this. And then the aggressive behavior of the human beings themselves. So therefore, that can also have an effect on the health. So therefore, we need to change the citizens' attitude, citizens' behavior towards certain ethics and environmental reasons and the issues. In the same way, we can also have certain effects on the fauna and on the flora. For example, mating signals and warning cries are being threatened in the natural ecosystems. Entire animal species are being displaced. The birds chirp not any longer, and they are not even louder in the polluted areas. And did you observe one thing? During the COVID-19 pandemic, many of us started uploading our videos and the natural music of the birds which we were listening. Okay, otherwise we were thinking, where had all the birds gone? Where had they disappeared? But when it was quiet, when we were all under that lockdown period, we saw that the birds came back and they were again chirping and singing with joy. So that itself shows that human beings are definitely responsible for creating some kind of a havoc in the natural ecosystems. The feeding and the breeding patterns also get disturbed. It leads to lower reproduction among these animals. The military sonar and there, if you see, those activities, they have adverse effects on the dolphins. The poultry sector, we can see there is reduced egg production when there is more noise. And it is also having a detrimental effect on the reproduction behavior among the plants. Seed growth is also getting threatened in the process. Therefore, how can we prevent and control noise pollution? First, let us start with the domestic noise. Maybe by using certain heavy rugs, heavy curtains on the windows. You can also have two curtains, you can have a lighter one and then a heavier one. We can also change the kind of the windows, the glass itself that we are using. If you see, we can get the heavy duty, that is a heavy glass, and which opens with a special handle, and you can open them in both ways, either through the front and also through the top. So these are some mechanisms where you can find the heavy window or even some kind of acoustical mechanisms which can be used both on your ceilings or on your walls. All this can control the amount of domestic noise. So you will not be disturbing your neighbor in the process. Control of the traffic noise. Old vehicles should be replaced. Usually you will find these coming in the daily ads or even in your daily newspapers. You will see that they always say that replace your old vehicles with the new ones. But sometimes, because this technology is available for a cheaper price, people start again accumulating the old vehicles, especially the cars. So this should not be done, because the old vehicles will give you more of the smoke, they give you more sound, and always a new technology, they could be better, and definitely the environmental factors are also taken into consideration over here. So also then the use of the horns. Some people have a constant way of creating panic. Even they know that they are in a traffic jam and there are 20 or 50 cars lined up behind each other, but still they keep honking. So that is not a good behavior. So less use of horns and honking, and the proper oiling of the engines, making new or upgraded roads. Vegetation buffer zones are required, and they should be created in different parts of the city. You would have seen in many places it is written welcome to green Delhi or welcome to green Mumbai and so on. So because the vegetation buffers, and it could be even a community participation, so which people are involved in creating these buffer zones, even that is also written on that. So it is a motivation for the people to do and work even more. Now aerodromes especially, they should be far away from the residences. Sometimes people buy plots, people buy farmlands and the residences which are near the railway stations, thinking that I am very near the railway station or I am very near the airport. But this also, it could have a negative effect on health. In the same way, the control of the industrial noise. So here also we should use the sound absorbers, acoustic tiles and silencers in the engine, because industrial noise is really a lot, and even these industrial sectors also, they should be set up far away from the residential areas. But many people now, if you see, they have the cottage industries. It could be the cotton, the weaving looms or the mills, even that also gives you a sound, tuck, 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 tuck and so on. In the same way, the electrical engines, even the gears, all this can have a lot of the sound. So they should be placed away from the residential places, and they should also be properly oiled and should have the acoustical devices so that the sound does not go out of their buildings. The workers especially, they should wear the earplugs, because they are the ones who are directly affected in the company or in the industrial sector, because otherwise they would be definitely compromising their health. So noise is an environmental quality parameter, and this has to be monitored in the specific urban areas regularly. Therefore, the CPCB, they have developed the National Ambient Noise Monitoring Network program, which includes the installation of the noise monitoring stations all over India. And this is a process in order to measure the magnitude of noise in industries and in the residential areas. Purpose of the measurement. So why do we have to measure the noise? So there are many reasons as to why we have to take up the noise measurements. The noise data, this will contain the amplitude, the frequency, the time or the phase of information which allow us to identify and locate the dominant noise sources. So how we can mitigate or eliminate these sources. Then optimize the selection of the noise control devices, methods and materials. We can evaluate and compare the noise control measures. We can determine the compliance with the noise criteria and regulation. We can quantify the strength or the power of a sound source. We can determine the acoustic qualities of a room and its suitability for various uses. Noise level monitoring procedure. So these are followed while monitoring sound level or acoustic energy level in specified areas. It could be measured by the noise level meter in decibel dB, and the noise or the sound level monitoring or measurement, it is a process to measure the magnitude of the noise, especially in the residential as well as in the industrial areas. Now the data collected from the noise level monitoring and testing, this will help us to understand the trends and action as how we can take in order to reduce the noise pollution sources. Now the noise measuring instruments. So there are several instruments, like you have the sound level meter, the integrating sound level meter and the noise dosimeter. So we should be very careful in order to understand the calibration, the operation and reading of these instruments before we use it. And the characteristics of these measurements can be quantified by the frequency response, by the response time and the dynamic range. Sound level meter. This basically it consists of microphone, electronic circuits and a readout display, and it can detect the small air pressure variations which are associated with sound, and then this changes them into electrical signals. These are then processed by the electronic circuitry of the instrument. Then this readout, it will display the sound level in decibels. So it takes a sound pressure level at one instant at a particular location. Primary tool for the noise measurement is the sound level meter, and it will definitely the precision of the meter will be quantified by its type. A noise dosimeter. This is a very small and light device, and you can actually clip it to a person's belt or a collar, and it has a small microphone, and so that you can monitor the noise from the person. And this stores the noise level information and it carries out an averaging process. It is basically useful in the industries where the noise will vary in duration and intensity, and wherever the person is changing his location. So thereby that would be easy. Noise monitoring system. These are useful for the real-time noise, since large number of stations can be managed easily using this technology. They can be optimized for the outdoor use with the small custom designed enclosure, and they are also designed for use in all the climatic environments. And this consists of a weatherproof cabinet. It contains noise level analyzer, a communication device for transmitting the data to the receiving station, and also we have a backplate and an outdoor microphone, basically for measuring the sound. Now these are the instruments, the figures you can see. This is the sound level meter. Now this is an impulse meter. These are frequency analyzers. Then we also have the graphic recorders, where you can the graphic record of any sound level that can be obtained by connecting the sound level meter to a graphic level recorder. So you can actually plot the sound pressure level, and that will move as on a moving chart paper, just like you get the ECG report. These are the noise dosimeters, where you can pin it onto the belt of a worker at the various locations in the industrial setup. It is useful. So noise control technologies, we can use a damping technologies, we can have the sound absorbers or silencers. In the same way, we can also have acoustical enclosures, which are where the noisy machines, they can be made of the sheet metal, which can be lined inside with certain acoustical materials. Then we can have acoustical barriers or shields, and the treatment of the walls and the ceilings. At your own homes also you can do this, where you can actually prevent the noise from going out, and also outdoor noise from coming in. So by summarizing this session today, we can say that a change in the behavior and the attitude of citizens, this is crucial for environmental and human health, and we have understood the sources of noise pollution. We have understood their effects on the human health, and we have also seen the various monitoring procedures and the instruments that could be used in order to monitor and measure the noise levels and pollution. Thank you for your patient listening.